on this, but I just kept coming across more and more things, and I figured I may as well put one together. You probably already know this by now, but there is a dam in California that may collapse. With all the snow and the rain that they are still expecting, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the dam, the spillway and everything, and it's already seemingly, ready. And that's why they evacuated people last night. And I was watching the live stream on that. So I'll leave these links below if you want to check it out. But I posted on Facebook. So I saw that somebody had posted this picture of Beyonce from the Grammys last night. And I wrote this post, which I'm going to read here. There is a dam ready to break at any moment in California. While watching the live stream, someone even mentioned they thought the Hoover Dam would break before Oroville's dam would. And then we have Madonna, who is seen looking like she was ready to give birth on the Hoover Dam. That's in the picture below here. And Madonna is also the name that Catholics use for the Virgin Mary, the Queen of Heaven, aka Semiramis, Isis, Ishtar, Mother Earth. And there is a lot of predictive programming for a dam to burst, like Evan Almighty. And then we have Madonna, of course, being above what looks like the Hoover Dam, where if the Hoover Dam were to burst, then that would be the water breaking, signifying that a birth is going to happen. And Fools Rush In has Isabel giving birth on the Hoover Dam in the middle of a rainstorm, of course, on the same night as the dam story that is happening due to rain. Then we have this Illuminati performance by Beyonce. From another group that won't let me share the post here, I said, well, here is why the Super Bowl halftime show was so benign. They were waiting for tonight's Grammys. Pregnant Beyonce on stage as the fertility goddess Isis Ishtar. She is pregnant with twins, the Gemini, with the twins are due in mid-June, Gemini, and right around the summer solstice. And I wrote, although something did happen at the Super Bowl, the Pope spoke. And then I put a link to this video that was very good. The video was from On Point Preparedness about Lady Gaga's Not So Illuminati 2017 Super Bowl halftime show. And yes, he has a picture of Madonna here. But back to my post. The word for Pope actually comes from the word for Father. So we have Father Time, Pope at the Super Bowl, and Mother Earth, Beyonce at the Grammys, within a couple of days of each other right before Lupercalia. Seems to me that this damn situation and Beyonce's performance are linked, and it's all happening around the time of Valentine's Day / Lupercalia, which celebrated Tammuz, which is Nimrod reincarnated. It's all ancient fertility rites happening around us, water breaking, and an Antichrist Tammuz being born. Or do you see? Got a lot of shares on this post, so apparently some people do see. Now, I'm going to get into some of this stuff further about Beyonce and the water. It's not even just that, but there's also a lot of Valentine's Day things happening, and you'll see images. There was a Galaxy chocolate commercial where there's Cupid, a man who's actually half man and half animal, like Pan or Chimera or something, shooting a bow and arrow. And of course Tammuz was Nimrod reincarnated supposedly, and Nimrod was a mighty hunter who probably used bows and arrows, like Cupid. So that's where we get Tammuz and that. So that's all happening around Valentine's Day and Lupercalia. And then we got this, So I'm just going to read through some of this stuff. If you can see on her belly in this picture, there's a picture of like a woman. A woman's hair is covering her in a little circle with a baby on canvas. You're usually painting a Madonna with Christ child, as I mentioned earlier. And that's why Madonna's name is Madonna. I believe Madonna was born a Catholic. Alright, moving on. The iconography here is pretty codified. The Virgin Mary is usually draped in blue veil and gazing modestly, adoring down. The baby Jesus stares solemnly out at the viewer. It's rare, but not impossible, to see any image of the Virgin Mary with her belly swollen by pregnancy. It's a fleshy image, and the Virgin Mary is supposed to be beyond flesh. But there's Beyonce, gazing down, pregnant, draped in Madonna-like veil, her ruffled panties, Virgin Mary blue. She's using all of the props and codes of the traditional Madonna and child imagery here, but there's no escaping the physical fact of her pregnant body. Beyonce has taken on the power and the purity of the Virgin Mary's iconography, but she insists on the power of her body as well. Venus. On Beyonce's website, all of the photographs are named variations on the Venus, a not-so-subtle hint that Queen Bey's about to reference some Venus imagery. And the most iconic painting of Venus, the one you've probably seen before, is Botticelli's Birth of Venus, painted in the late 15th century. Botticelli shows Venus, the Roman goddess of erotic love, emerging from the sea foam where she was born, while winds blow roses into her hair and a handmaiden waits to drape her in silk. She's an ideal of bodily, sexual, feminine beauty, and an immensely powerful one at that. Her nakedness is genuinely divine, writes Jonathan Jones in The Guardian. She preserves a portion of modesty not because this is a prudish painting, but because the totally revealed nudity of a god might blind or madden the beholder. There is an almost tangible sense of divine power when you look at this image. So of course they're speaking of a goddess, these idols that we're not supposed to worship, but people in art do. So that's why they're imitating it. And the lead image of Beyonce, which shows her half naked, surrounded by flowers, draped in silky fabric, is, to use the technical term, Botticelli as F-U-C-K. There are those flowers again, which represent fecundity and female genitalia, like the flowers wafting on the wind towards Venus. They form an arc over Beyonce's head that echoes the subtle arc over Venus's head. Let's see. Formed by her mantle and the leaves on the right and the edges of the clouds on the left. Beyonce's hair is falling in the long flowing curls that Botticelli loved to paint, and the veil cascading past her hips echoes the lines of Venus's hair. Her hands are placed deliberately against her half-naked body in a way that both frames her pregnant belly and echoes Venus's hands covering her genitalia, not, as Johnson wrote, out of prudeness, but in an acknowledgement of divine power. So they are comparing her to divinity here. The next image here. Venus of the sea foam, Beyonce. Then resurrected as the god of the sun, as the sun god, Nimrod, used his sun rays to miraculously inseminate Semiramis with a child. This child was thus considered to be divinely conceived. The child's name was Tammuz, which she claimed was the reincarnated Nimrod. Thus, Semiramis was both Nimrod's wife and mother. After the scattering that occurs at the Tower of Babel, this story of the miraculous conception of this child disseminated throughout the world and led to the rise of the various birth, death, rebirth cults that are littered throughout history. These mystery religions of future generations adopted different names for Semiramis and her child Tammuz. According to another tradition, Semiramis was the daughter of a goddess. She had mermaid-like features with the head of a woman and the body of a fish. As you can see in the picture, there's Semiramis. She's on the moon and holding the child in her hand. There are definitely pictures out there of the Virgin Mary on a moon of Starbucks. You can see that, that's the pagan goddess that they have on their list. So, I think I heard a story of someone say they actually wrote Starbucks saying, like, if I'm paying you extra money for a coffee here, is that money going to tithe this pagan goddess? If it is, then I don't want to buy any more products from you anymore. And they didn't want to keep their customer. They didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, with a mother's pride, Beyonce, Knowles announced. Beyonce started her performance with holographic imagery projected on a giant screen that eventually gave way to the singer walking out live on stage. The holographic imagery had the singer channel the traditional Yoruba river and fertility goddess Ocean. They're telling you flat out she's channeling it. Ocean is central to Yoruba thought and praxis. Her power is multi-dimensional. Ocean's name means source from the word Orison, the source of a river, a person, or of child, of children, of wealth, of life. Orison also has the word sun in it, interestingly enough, because it's always about the sun god. and she's the moon goddess and the earth goddess. And it says here that Ocean is multidimensional, but we also saw that she was channeling Kali, and Kali was also to do with time, and time is another dimension. So it's interesting. It's all since the Tower of Babel, God confounded all the languages and changed all the names. So that's why we have multiple goddesses that do the same thing, that have the same sort of iconography and look to them and style and, you know, what they're in charge of, like rivers, life. This is a mother goddess, Mother Earth, you know, Mother Nature type goddess. Alright, Ocean represents the perpetually renewing source of life. As the elemental power of water, she makes life possible. Ocean is the child-giving and curative power of water. During the visually impressive, Beyonce performed 2 tracks from Lemonade, Love Drought, and Sandcastles, sung in the middle of poetic lines. Love Drought was backed by an array of dancers. However, she followed this with piercing simplicity, sitting down and belting a devastating rendition of Sandcastles. Do you remember being born? The singer asked. A part of the performance showed images of 3 generations of her family, including her mother and her daughter, Blue Ivy Carter. Clad in a golden gown and headdress, Beyonce performed on a long table surrounded by backup dancers. She sat on a chair and leaned back in a gravity-defying trick that those inside the theater said took some time to set up before the act. It was an ode to motherhood, with many images alluding to childbirth. The performance closed on an optimistic note, with Beyonce reflecting another Shire line. Quote, "If we're going to heal, let it be glorious. 1,000 girls raised their arms." I don't know if that's alluding to the 1,000 points of light that has been spoken of before, but could be. So I posted about this on Facebook last night, and I saw Face Like the Sun had posted, and I gave him the link to my post, and so he mentions it in this video. It's a really good video discussing Beyonce here. It's called Beyonce, Grammy 2017 Ritual. Beyonce channels Goddess of Water while Oroville Dam floods. So I'll leave the link below to this video. As you can see, there's another article from Singer's Room that says, "Watch Beyonce channel a golden goddess in 2017 Grammy performance." The media is not hiding the fact that she is channeling a goddess. The only issue we have is that they're going to tell you that that's symbolic. It's not real. Like, she's not really channeling demons, you know? So, but they're being quite obvious about it. And one thing he mentions in that video is that it's the goddess of destiny. And I just wanted to point out that she used to be in a group called Destiny's Child. It says the name Destiny's Child is derived from a passage in the book of Isaiah. The Knowles are passionately Christian, and Beyonce's mother suggested the name when Destiny had been taken. So now we have, Lady Gaga at the Super Bowl, supposedly being called a good Christian. You can see that other video I mentioned earlier about the Super Bowl, but, you know, it's all tied in with the Pope and Catholic. You know, Madonna was born Catholic. They're pushing religion, but they're pushing a false religion. They're pushing a false Christianity. But because they say they're Christian, people think that they really are. But they're pushing the anti-Christ Christianity. What they're doing here is they're building a quote-unquote Christian group that is going to come in and save the world. And those Christians, it will be a false Christianity, an anti-Christ Christianity. And that is what most Christians will accept as normal. As we can see, Adolf Hitler said that his whole movement is Christian, and people followed him. Christians followed him. So it's easy to believe that there will be an antichrist beast where a lot of Christians will follow him, thinking they are doing Christianity a service, while killing the true remnant of our Father. And it would be a representation of the as above, so below. There's a black sun underneath the earth, while there's a real sun above the earth. And also in Pirates of the Caribbean, they flip underground. They're in the Davy Jones's locker, and then they have to flip the boat to go upside down, and then that's how they go from the abyss up to the regular Earth. Back to IlluminatiWatcher.com. Hitler surely got influenced by Helena Blavatsky's idea of the Black Sun, since he was a fan of her works, in which it symbolized an opposing force, akin to the rebellious powers of the Illuminati god Lucifer. Lucifer symbolizes the power of the other, which is represented by the planet of Saturn, which we saw in the Keith Urban set. It is also represented by the desert and the ancient Egyptian god Set, which is where Set converts into Satan. So we have Set versus Lucifer, Satan versus Lucifer. It's the Hegelian dialectic. So some people choose to follow the dark arts, and some people choose to follow the white arts, like white magic, but they're both the same thing. They're both getting their magic from the same source. The white witches use the Force, and the black witches use the Force, and on the pyramid-shaped stage as well. However, further pushing the symbolism of the Illuminati, as I've alluded to in the past. However, it should be noted the color change of the pyramid halfway through the song. The inclusion of the colors white, black, and red are also used by those that identify as Freemasons or Satanists. The Masons use all three colors, and the Satanists use red and black. The red symbolizes blood, perhaps blood sacrifice, while the black symbolizes death. The white is symbolism for the resurrection of the candidate into a new life and the ways of the occult through alchemy. Katy Perry performed her latest single as expected and flashed a couple of signs. Katy Perry, Mono Cornuto and the Moloch Horns. Katy Perry's 666 hand. Some of the more obscure symbols worth delving into include the dark symbol for the fallen angel of Lucifer, Katy Perry lightning, and the fallen angel of Lucifer. The lightning bolt is used to represent Lucifer, who fell from the heavens like lightning. This rebel angel worshipped by those in the Illuminati because he is the one they believe gave mankind the true freedom. They believe he gave us the flame of light like Prometheus, which allowed us to break from the subjugation of God. The stage switches over to a pit of fire, and we see a concerned Katy Perry flashing the symbol for Nodens, aka Typhon, a la Aleister Crowley and Winston Churchill. She did the V symbol, also a false peace or fifth age. When you do that, this is not the first time Katy Perry has done this. I've covered this in an article entitled Katy Perry is Summoning the Beast of the Abyss, and this performance adds to the list of reasons I believe it to be so. There's a picture, 6-6 hand as well. One more thing I'd like to mention, big ups to Chance the Rapper for having the balls to get on stage to give thanks to the Lord in front of the entire music industry, who generally have a disdain for worshiping a god, would rather worship the occult beliefs or the Illuminati that cuts the checks and open the doors for fame and fortune. And then he's got the video here, which I was going to link to below. So in his video, he talks about the whole thing, has Beyonce there in the picture with the chair and everything. For the Lord, you know, the heart is deceitful above all things. They're saying everybody that's listening to their heart is following the Lord, the human master, Baal, basically, Satan. I also mention in this video, did Jesus come to do away with animal sacrifices and warn about eating meat sacrificed to idols, that in the end, I believe that people will be worshipping the Lord as the beast. The beast will come in the name of the Lord, because that's what he'll call himself. He'll say, I am the Lord, and everybody will worship him. Another thing that happened at the Grammys is that CeeLo Green arrived in this outfit where he was completely golden. And yeah, I mean, it's like, how did they even know it was CeeLo Green? He's just in this outfit. But I thought it was interesting. Apparently he's short, and I was thinking, you know, Beyonce was all gold, she's pregnant, and the dam was flooding, and I was thinking about the water bursting and giving forth a child, and I was thinking, is this a reference to the golden child? So I looked up golden child, and I found this. There's this picture here. It's called Golden Child. It's in the Vatican treasury. Like so many other images of the child in Catholic churches, it's reminiscent of the ancient worship of Tammuz as a child. Born on December 25th, he represented the rebirth of the sun. As a pagan god child, he was called Baal Berith. Pagan Anglo-Saxons called December 25th Yule Day, which is a Babylonian word for infant. Egyptians and Persians celebrated the birthday of their god on December 25th. Other names applied to the sun god as a child are Mithras, Horus, Isvara, Deimos, Jupiter, Plutos, Ninus, Osiris, Dionysus, Bacchus, Iacchus, Adonis, Attis, etc. All these myths of child worship originated from ancient Babylon with Semiramis and Nimrod. Like you can see Mother of Mary, the halo behind her head with the sun god. Golden child, I just thought it was really interesting that CeeLo Green showed up all golden. Kind of like a baby, he's bald too here, no hair. What would happen if you were a baby? So, I don't know if that was another reference to the birthing of the golden sun god coming.